Bonjour à toutes et à tous, on se retrouve sur un RageQuit. Ça fait un petit bout de temps qu'il n'y a pas eu de RageQuit. Bah, faut bien un début à tout. On se retrouve sur The Stanley Parable, un jeu, bon, malheureusement qui est tout en anglais, donc anglophobe s'abstenir, qui est un jeu un peu mindfuck, c'est-à-dire que il essaye de vous montrer que vous avez soi-disant le choix dans les jeux, alors que non, c'est faux, vous n'avez pas le choix. Et en fait, on voit le reflet de Fraps ici. C'est bien foutu cette merde. Allez, c'est parti. Voilà.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Bon, en gros, son job, c'est juste d'appuyer sur les boutons et il reçoit des commandes.
Day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Oh, voilà, une direction de là.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Bon.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ok, avec le
No
clic
matter
gauche.
how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ok, dès que je fais une action, ça fait le bruit d'un... T'as pas besoin de clavier. Tiens, j'ai ouvert un... J'ai ouvert un... On peut pas sauter, oui, c'est vrai. D'accord, bon. De l'art. Magnifique. Ok. Bon, je peux arrêter les ordis, c'est plutôt cool. Il y a de l'action, hein. On peut pas ouvrir les portes.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a
C'est ouvert
single
derrière.
difference, nor
Tiens.
did it advance the story in any way.
C'est pas un numéro là-bas, c'est un B. Ok, d'accord, deux portes.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Alors est-ce que je vais choisir? J'ai deux choix, l'écouter ou ne pas l'écouter. Écouter, pas l'écouter, l'écouter. Pour écouter pour une première, on va essayer de l'écouter. D'accord, pas, pas faire, ok.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Ah bah oui, je sais qu'il y
Feeling
a
a
personne.
wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
En gros... Ouais, c'est de la merde, hein, c'est... Oui, d'accord. Ouais. Ah, ça par contre... On était free to play.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
On peut pas escalader. Fuck. Bon, parti.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ah mais je peux descendre. Pourquoi je montrais si je peux descendre? Est-ce que je descends? Est-ce que je monte? Bon, on dit qu'on va le suivre. Ah, on va suivre ce qu'il dit. Pas monter. Exécute passons, sérieusement. C'est quoi ces types de merde? Y'a un truc là-bas. Il est vert, je veux voir. Je veux voir. C'est quoi? Business time. Bon, c'est un magazine. Je peux rien faire? Je peux pas rentrer là? Il y a une plante. Il y a plein de plantes comme ça partout en fait. Ils ont que ça chez eux.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once
D'accord.
again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief
Chianti.
who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845.
D'accord, oui, ok.
But of course,
Vraiment
Stanley
secret.
couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck.
Je peux passer là?
Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Faut vraiment? Saoule un peu ça. On a l'impression de pouvoir faire quelque chose alors que non. Enfin, non, c'est contrôlé. Wow, par contre le loading screen ça va être chiant ça. J'aurais vraiment dû le mettre sur les SSD. C'est con. C'est complètement con ce que j'ai fait.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar.
Bah
There
ouais.
was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job.
Attends, déjà dès le début, on a appris que Stanley était freeze, donc il pouvait plus bouger.
This question would not
Juste-
go
Et il est
unanswered
revenu
for
à la vie quand j'ai pris contrôle de lui. Donc c'est à dire qu'il sait pas que je suis en lui. Donc, il se prend pour un humain.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Fous de ma gueule là. Fuir à quoi? Call externe 914 immediately. If light is on. Immédiatement. Pourquoi immédiatement? Bon, on a dit qu'il suivait ce qu'il a dit, on va aller tout droit. Une caméra qui marche. Non, qu'il n'y a plus personne. Oh.
The lights rose on an
Ah, d'accord.
enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible
Ah, il y a
secret
une-
did this place
Ah, ça me
hold?
fait penser là.
Stanley thought to himself.
Comment ça
Did he
s'appelle?
have the strength
Dans
to
Futurama.
find out?
À l'épisode où il y a... Oh, d'accord. Dans l'épisode où il y a... Ah, pour moi j'aurai un troisième choix aussi. La grosse boule. Tiens. Il y a un truc là-haut. Cache un truc toi. Je sens que je peux y monter là-haut.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number
d'accord.
of an employee in the
Favorite.
building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many
Je suis où, moi?
individuals reduced
Je suis
to
combien? Je suis
images on
427, non?
screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally
428.
rooted in this place where
427.
freedom meant nothing.
Je suis là non? Non, je suis où? Je suis où? Reprends les numéros. Non? D'accord. Ah voilà. 427. Je suis là. Ah ouais, c'est moi. C'est mon bureau. Gavage. Eh wait, je suis pas là-bas moi. Ah oui mais non d'accord, c'est les caméras qui surveillent les employés. Ok. Oui, d'accord, oui. C'est un petit peu con que...
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had
Ah.
Stanley really been under someone's
Non mais
control
non,
all
je
this
veux pas monter
time?
moi.
Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been
Ça fait quoi s'il l'a?
manipulated to
Maintenant, j'attends.
accept it blindly?
Je refuse de l'accepter. Pourquoi il y a un panneau central d'ailleurs là-bas? Non? Non, je veux pas. Tarez-vous, si je monte. Bon, fuck it.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was
Ah non, c'est pas
unthinkable.
possible. Comment tu veux que des gens te contrôlent?
Was it even possible?
T'implantes un
Had he
truc
truly
dans le cerveau.
spent his
Que les
entire
zombies en
life
fait.
utterly blind to the world?
Oh. Ah oui,
It was
d'accord.
the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls
Ah bah si, en fait, il
labeled
contrôle.
with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking,
Je suis un ingénieur.
eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very
Ah ouais, ils
place.
peuvent commander les
And as the
sentiments.
cold reality of his past began to
Envie de
sink
rentrer
in,
chez soi.
Stanley decided that this machinery
je sais
would
pas quoi.
never again exert its terrible power
Ah
over
là, ils peuvent
another
l'éteindre.
human life. For he
Au milieu
would
de la rue.
dismantle the controls once and for
Oh.
all.
Un sol avec des LED. Ah, un bouton rouge. Tiens. Bouton 5.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place
C'est ça qui me
and
contrôle.
to everything it stood for.
Autant les Oui. Mais si je l'active, qu'est-ce qui va se passer? Ils vont peut-être tous revenir? Je l'active.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the control.
Oui, mais c'est logique, parce que si je l'active,
After they kept you
ils vont tous
enslaved
revenir.
all these years, you go and you try to take control of the
Ça se tient.
machine for yourself. Is
Ça
that
se
what you wanted?
Ça tient. Ouais, c'est rouge. Les écrans rouges, c'est mal. Les blue screens, c'est mal, et les écrans rouges, c'est encore pire.
I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand.
Peut-être un air
there's
sod,
only
ou
so
ce
much
qu'on arrête skin of
that
the death,
machine
mais
can do.
pas logique.
You were
Pas logique du tout.
supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off
je veux
track,
qu'ils reviennent.
you're going to have to do much better than that.
Je me barre.
I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode,
Sérieux?
eliminating the entire complex.
Non, je veux pas d'explosion nucléaire, moi vous êtes tarés.
Let's say 2 minutes.
Oh putain, d'accord, ok, 2 minutes pour trouver une solution. Si ça pète, il y a un bouton. 5, 5. Peut-être un compte à rebours, 5 serait peut-être le maximum. Non, il n'y aurait pas un 6. Trouver un 6, je suis répertorié. Non, ça va jusqu'à 1, ok. Peut-être qu'il y a un 6. Bon. Attendez. Le bouton rouge. 1 minute 30, putain, ça passe trop vite. Le bouton rouge. Three attempts warning. What?
You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're
Ok, là.
obliterated?
Des trucs là.
All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to
Bouton
them.
vert.
I erased them. I turned
Bouton
off
vert.
the machine. I set you free. Of course,
Bouton
that
1.
was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone.
Je l'ai appelé le bouton 1 là.
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside.
Tu attends warning.
Or I let it
Sérieux?
burn to a crisp. I have to say this though, this version of events has been rather
Non, merci, c'était
amusing.
le bouton 10.
Watching
Bouton
you
3.
try to make sense of everything and take
Là-haut, c'est
back the
4.
control wrested away from
5.
you, it's quite rich.
Il est où 3?
I almost hate
3.
to see it go.
Fuck my life.
But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go around
3,
will
3,
be even better. My goodness,
3,
only
3.
34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not?
Ah,
These are precious additional seconds, Stanley.
1
Time
minute
doesn't
46.
grow on trees.
tu vas attendre warning. Mais quoi?
Oh dear me, what's the matter,
Il y a un
Stanley?
temps passcode.
Is it that you have no idea where you're going or
Me
what you're supposed
please?
to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running
Mais
from
non.
button to button, screen to
Oui,
screen,
running
clicking
tout le
on
temps.
every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no,
John,
these
John,
colored ones. Or maybe
putain,
this
20.
big red button, or this door. Everything,
c'était ça?
anything, something
Le
here
2.
will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten?
Le 2, le 2,
One
le 2.
soul?
Un violet.
Do you have any idea what your purpose in this
pas violet,
place
ça.
is?
2.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler
Mais
for you.
c'était lui.
That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene.
Ah, ça explose. Bordel, 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 bordel. Le 2, le 2, le 2, le 2.
You made humble. This is not a challenge.
Rouge,
It's a
rouge, rouge.
tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you
C'est ça?
can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30
Oh,
seconds
putain.
until a big boom and then nothing.
Oh putain.
No ending here. Just you being
Oh,
blown
putain.
to pieces.
Goodbye, on fait. Hé, mais c'est de la triche.
Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count.
J'y
Or
crois,
don't.
là,
It's all the same to me.
que c'est
It's all
foutu.
a part of the joke. And believe me,
Oh,
I
lol,
will
lol,
be
lol,
laughing
lol.
at every second of your inevitable
Oui, d'accord,
life
ok.
from the moment we fade in until the moment I
oups.
say happily ever after.
Adieu. Il déconne pas l'enfoiré. C'était vraiment des bombes nucléaires, bon. Ouais, ça a fait boum. Bon, on est mort. Hein? Je peux mort? J'ai pas de pied, ça c'est pas mal. J'ai pas de jambes non plus, j'ai pas de torse, j'ai une caméra.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it
Could it
mean?
mean?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he
Sérieusement?
had simply missed a memo. No matter how
je
hard
suis gavé,
Stanley
je vais sur le
looked, he couldn't find a trace of his
Comment j'ai fait?
co-workers.
Comment j'ai fait? Non, j'ai fait ça. Je suis arrivé là. Oh! Où je vais passer maintenant? Ok, là. Je vais essayer de... passer en bureau en face. Yes. Je... Non mais je peux pas sauter, ça passera pas. Alors là, je ne braille le jeu. Please. Je peux le faire pas le faire là. Bon, premier coup. Téléphone sans alimentation quoi. Sérieux. Oh. Oh je le sens pas. Eh mais non. Alors ça, c'est l'epic bug. Alors ça. Ah mais non, ça va bugger. Ça va bugger ou ça va pas bugger? YOLO. Ça ralentit. Tiens, ça bouge là. Hein?
At first, Stanley assumed he'd
Sérieusement?
taken a nap until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that
Sérieusement?
you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Bah... Non, je m'en fous en fait.
Ah, then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh,
Ah non,
and
non,
listen,
non, non,
Rich,
mais on va les
perhaps
le
you've
refaire.
just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've
Oui, il
brought
décide
up
de me
the
faire
other
chier là.
options so much that I'm going to stop
Philosophie,
talking
je m'en fous.
and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Hein? Il est pas sérieux là. Non, il va me laisser là. Mais non, mais j'ai pas envie de refaire moi. Mais tu me refais monter en haut là. Oh, oh. Le jeu. Bugger une narration ou... S'il te plaît. Il y a un bouton d'action là. Il y a un bouton d'action. On va faire bugger ça. Please, le jeu. Mais non. Bon. D'accord. Ok. Le jeu nous fait un fuck. Et je crois qu'on va se laisser là pour l'épisode 1. C'est pas mal. Voilà. On va se laisser dans ce bureau. Hate Mondays. Oui, tout le monde déteste. Oh, avec la belle tache de café dans la facture. Putain, qui connaît pas ça quoi. Ouais, bon, on va se laisser là. Il n'y a pas de prise, regardez. Marche sans prise. Ah si, putain, si, il y en a une grosse prise. On explique comment. Il n'y a rien qui est relié avec une prise. Téléphone, rien. Sauf là, une grosse prise qui passe. Bon, bref. On se laisse pour l'épisode 1 à l'épisode 2. Je vous dis une bonne journée, une bonne soirée, tout ce que vous voulez. Et voilà, il est 11h25. C'est le jeu qui le dit. Hein. Il est 11h25 et on se laisse. Au revoir.